Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about tips for when you are struggling with the no contact rule. So if you are struggling with no contact and you're finding it really difficult to restrain yourself from messaging your ex, contacting your ex, or you're just going through a rough time and you just feel really down, then hopefully these tips will help you. Now, if you're feeling really, really down and you feel like maybe you've got depression or feel like maybe this is developing into a mental health issue, it's probably always best, even if you don't feel that way anyway, just to get in contact with a doctor to make sure that basically what you're going through is it isn't something more serious, basically, because you don't want it to be an issue that can be easily resolved with counseling or through some medical help. Okay, so that might be something that you might want to consider. And I always recommend to people that if you are struggling with your mental health, or you feel like you're going through some sort of turbulent time, it's always good to speak to a professional about it in case you are going through something more serious and you need help. Okay, and I always think it's a good idea to get yourself a counselor anyway. I have a counselor, right? I like to have someone that I can talk to about certain things, because it's just good to be able to talk to someone who has an unbiased view, who's just basically there to just listen. Because I feel like sometimes, because of life and the things that life throws at us, right? The heartbreak, or even some things to celebrate too. But sometimes I think it's just good to talk to someone who doesn't know about your life, who doesn't have any sort of like emotional bond to you, that you can just vent to, basically. And I think that's really important. And I recommend anyone to get themselves a therapist or a counselor, because it's just a good idea. I think it's just a good idea to be able to have someone you can talk to. Because sometimes just when you are talking, it can resolve a lot of things that are probably going on in their head. And it's just good to have that other person to just like maybe like make you question what you're thinking and stuff like that. So if you are struggling and you feel like you're really sad, you're feeling really low, maybe you've got a lot of anxiety, please get in touch with someone who is a medical professional, okay? So hopefully, with that being said, some of these ideas may help you as well. I'm in no way a medical professional, so this is not a substitute for medical advice, but maybe this will help you if you are just simply struggling with the no contact rule and you've got no other underlying issues. So, the first point that I want to make is more of a question, right? And it's a good question to ask yourself. I can't remember where I originally heard it from, but when you're going through a tough time and when you're struggling with something, whether it be no contact or whatever, right? It could be anything. Sometimes it's a good idea to ask yourself, what if it was a gift, right? What if it was a gift? Now, what that means, right, and what that's supposed to induce basically when you ask that question is, what if what's happening is supposed to happen, and what if now that you're going through this, that it's actually supposed to lead you down a better path, right? And it's actually meant to be good for you. Even though it hurts right now and you're struggling right now, it may be the case that in a few months, maybe in as little as a few weeks or a few days, you'll start to see that actually this all happened for a reason, and you're going to be a lot better because of it. Even if it's just giving you an idea of what not to do in the future, or it could be something even bigger than that. Like it could lead you down a rabbit hole of finding out new information, either information that I give you, or it could be information that other coaches give you, to help better your life and lead you to a better life, right? So it could be that this whole situation, no matter how much it sucks right now, could actually be something really beneficial to you. So sometimes I feel like thinking about that kind of thing and having that frame of mind makes the situation a lot less intense and you feel a lot better about it, right? And it can make you kind of ease your mind, so to speak. Okay, so another thing that often helps as well, and I feel like this often relaxes people too, and that is simply either your ex is going to come back into the picture, or you're just going to find someone better, okay? And the reason why I feel like that's quite relaxing is because it's giving you two options here, and both of those options are really good. So obviously if you get the ex back, as long as that ex was good for you, right, and there's someone who you genuinely feel like you've lost, and and in a way that you feel like, oh no, I really lost someone good, if they come back into your life, that's great because you got that person back. But if you find someone better, that's also good because you found someone better, someone who loves you more, who's more attractive, who's much nicer, who perhaps you get along with more, so there's less arguments, that kind of thing. So either you're going to find someone better or the ex is going to come back. Those are the two options that are going to happen. And, both of those options are good, right? So pretty good. So hopefully that's relaxed you a little bit as well. So another thing that can help is remembering why you started the no contact rule in the first place. Okay, so if you're struggling with, the no contact rule, and maybe you feel like, I really wish I could text my ex, I really feel like I'm being drawn to message them. It's always good to remind yourself of why you started doing it in the first place, okay? So if you started doing it because you wanted to reattract your ex back, because by giving them space, that often, most of the time, that does help an ex come back because they're given space away from you, they're given space to think about you, to miss you, and because you're gone, and you're no longer in their messages, you're no longer phoning them up, you're no longer in their DMs, basically, they start to wonder about you, they start to miss you, and then they start to pursue you. So if that's the reason why you started the no contact rule, which is the reason why a lot of people start the no contact rule, to try and reattract their ex back in that way, then you got to remember that, like, okay, if I message them, I'm probably going to mess this up. If I message them, I'm probably going to deflate the anticipation, and they may go back to zero, basically. You might be back on square one. And if you want to reattract your ex, and you want to reattract them a lot faster, then obviously you don't want to be back at square one. So that's another important thing to remember as well, that may help you to just remember why you started the no contact rule in the first place, okay? And just another thing here about the no contact rule, which I think is really important to address, and that is, remember that the no contact rule isn't a manipulation technique, because a lot of people do the no contact rule as a manipulation thing because they're trying to get their ex to act in a certain way, or they're trying to get back at their ex for some reason. It could be to try and deflate their ego. It could even be sometimes someone who has like a more narcissistic personality disorder may use no contact as punishment, right? So let's say, for example, the person that they're with hasn't really been paying much attention to them. Something normal, something that could actually happen, that sometimes happens in relationships. Sometimes we do, sometimes neglect our partner a little bit. Perhaps we don't message them as much while they're at work, or we forget to, like do something for them. Like they said, can you pick up some eggs, and we forget to do it. That kind of thing. I'm not talking about serious neglect. I'm talking about like these kind of little things that we could just forget about, right? If someone with a narcissistic personality is experiencing something like that, where their partner has neglected them in a very small, minute way, that narcissist may do something like breaking all contact with them just so they can punish their ex, which obviously is not the right thing to do. There's no reason for something as extreme as no contact when it could be easily worked out with a quick discussion, with just some simple communication with your partner, right? So it's important to note that the no contact rule is not a manipulation technique. Basically, how I've always perceived the no contact rule is that, the whole reason that you're doing the no contact rule, and the way that I would do it if I was trying to do the no contact rule on someone, would be to see how this person actually feels about me, right? So if someone doesn't like you, then you'll just never hear from them, right? If you go for a breakup and you're thinking, okay, I want to find out, basically, does my ex still have feelings for me? Then you go into no contact to see, basically, if they still care about you. Because what you want to know, really, right, is should I move on or not? And if you've done no contact for months and your ex hasn't reached out to you, then that's probably a good indication that you need to move on, right? Whereas if you do the no contact rule and your ex does contact you, then that does let you know how they feel about you, that they still care about you, that they still love you. So the idea then is that you're using the no contact rule to basically find out whether or not you should move on, right? Because that's, and that in my mind, is the best way to use it, because I feel like sometimes you see videos that people have posted, they're like, oh yeah, you should do no contact for 30 days and then you should message your ex, as if there's like some kind of amount of days that could actually work, right? Because everyone's different, right? So, and another thing as well is that the reason why you shouldn't use no contact as a manipulation technique is because you can't really change how they feel, really. Their feelings can only be revealed to you, right? You can't change how they respond to you. Because if they love you and they care about you, they will come back. But if they don't, you'll just never hear from them again. And no amount of no contact will actually change that. So using no contact as a manipulation technique is just never going to work, because you can't change how they feel about you anyway, right? You can't, if they've already decided that they don't love you anymore and they just don't feel it, then no amount of no contact will bring them back. Whereas if they do still care about you, then they probably will come back into your life, right? So you need to use no contact as more as a tool to see if you should move on and if they still care about you or not, okay? So another way that can help with if you're struggling with the no contact rule is if you focus for the time being less on your ex and more on bettering your life, creating a more peaceful life for yourself, and to be more productive and to have a better lifestyle, right? Those are the things that you should be focusing on, right? Having a peaceful but productive lifestyle, trying to find a way that you can better your life. It could be bettering your physical body, it could be bettering your financial situation. It's basically figuring out basically where you would like to be, what you would like your life to look like, right? And really thinking about that and then working towards that every single day, because that will make you feel awesome about yourself. Okay, so you've got to ask yourself, how would you like your life to be? How would you like your life to be? And kind of visualize it, right? Think about it for a while. Take some time after this video to dwell on, okay, where would I like to be? What would I like my life to look like? How would I ideally like to be living day to day, right? And then executing, right? Trying to find a way that you can make that reality true, right? How to try and find a way to make that into a reality to get you from where you are now to where you ultimately want to be in the future. And that's another thing that can really help with that, because if you are just sitting around worrying about the no contact rule, worrying about how many days it's been, worrying about how your ex feels about you, then that's just going to create more doubt in you. That's just going to create more fear, more anxiety, whatever it may be, right? And it's not going to make you feel good. Whereas if you've got things that let's say you have a to-do list every day and you're working on that, you go to work, you exercise, you've got all these things that you're trying to achieve, and you've got like activities that are already lined up for the weekend where you're seeing friends, you're seeing family. You're not going to be worried so much about the ex. You're not going to be worried so much about this past person, right? Because you've got other things going on in your life, okay? So those are some tips then if you're struggling with the no contact rule, if you're struggling executing it. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.